Today's topic-based Zoom is on pay frequency changes. We will be going over critical concepts surrounding situations when an employee's pay frequency is changed from monthly to biweekly or biweekly to monthly. This presentation is being recorded and will be posted on our review and reinforcements page. If you have questions about the presentation, please put them in the chat and we will get to them during Q&A. Today's topics. We will start by reviewing roles and responsibilities. Next, go over effective dates and timing. Then impacts to timekeeping, benefits, accruals, and payroll. Then go over some scenarios and end with best practices and Q&A. Let's go over the roles and responsibilities related to pay frequency changes in UCPath. The location approves pay compensation frequency change, submits HR template or pay path transaction, approves and submits HR template or pay path transaction, and submits reclassification for any usage that was submitted under the incorrect frequency or eligibility. UCPath Center will process the HR template, process on-cycle and off-cycle payrolls, review and audits pay frequency changes completed in the system, reviews and conducts internal audits of benefits premium discrepancies, and respond to locations when an action is needed, and notifies employees who owe benefits premiums over $50 threshold. The employee will receive change in pay and/or compensation frequency, receives notification for any impact to benefit premiums. If you need guidance on what pay group to use, please contact the comp policy experts. Generally, you'll want to match the pay frequency to the academic position. Pay frequency changes, effective dates and timing. Per guidance from UCPath, the effective date of promotional changes should start at the beginning of a pay period to ensure the FLSA weeks are calculated accurately. Submitting a change several pay cycles after the effective date can compound the adjustments needing to be made to pay, taxes, deductions, and accruals. The timing for submitting and approving the changes should be determined by leveraging the employee data change deadline listed on the UCPath processing schedule. Here are some effective date considerations. The pay frequency field is modified in PayPath on the job data tab. If possible, choose the pay group change effective date as follows. After the current position's pay group pay confirm date, before the employee data change deadline of the new position's pay cycle, and the exception is if the pay frequency changes due to a concurrent hire and the effective date of the concurrent hire must drive the effective date of the pay group change, then change the pay frequency on existing appointments before the concurrent hire date. The payroll office receives error reports for possible payroll issues as a result of frequency changes and will notify the HR department contact if errors are identified. But the primary responsibility for confirming accurate pay and benefits remains with the department and HR transactors. Impacts: timekeeping, benefits, accruals, and payroll. Timekeeping impact. The pay frequency change will not be reflected until the pay period ends. If the employee is going from biweekly to monthly, the monthly timesheet will not show until after the biweekly pay period end. A snow ticket should be submitted if you do not see a change in the timesheet pay frequency. If employee is going from biweekly non-exempt to monthly exempt, and they have comp balance, payout needs to be initiated before switching pay frequencies. Benefits impact. UC benefits premiums are paid in advance. with the exception of disability premiums. Benefit premiums for biweekly employees are equally divided between the first and second biweekly paychecks within the month. Monthly employee premiums are deducted once per month. The benefits deduction schedule can be found in UCPath dashboard, quick links, benefits deductions calendar. Depending on the timing of the transaction and entry into UCPath, the effective date of change and transaction approval within UCPath, an employee may experience a deduction in their first or second biweekly check and their first and second biweekly check and the deduction on the monthly check. And you can see the dates right here. Next. UCPath runs a monthly report to identify employees that have had a change in pay frequency and require an adjustment to their health and welfare benefits premium. An analysis on the employee's record is completed by reviewing employees' paycheck deductions prior to and post pay frequency changes. The record is checked to ensure future deductions will be correct and to see if any adjustments to benefits premiums is required. Benefits premium adjustments are adjusted on the employee's upcoming on-cycle paycheck. Employees who owe benefits premiums above the $50 threshold will receive an email notification which details the amount owed per plan. Accruals. UCPath runs a monthly report to identify employees that had a pay frequency change and require an accruals adjustment. The record is analyzed for each employee's job record, paychecks, accruals, and accrual eligible hours. To ensure that accrual balance adjustments are not reversed by retroactive takes submitted to the employee's record, UCPath audits pay frequency changes within a 2-month period. Inquiries can be submitted for review if updates are not completed within the 2 months from effective date. Remember, this is a manual process done by UCPath Center. Payroll impacts. Pay frequency changes could result in an employee having a discrepancy in the biweekly or monthly paycheck. Refer to KBA How to Pay Hours Unpaid Due to Pay Frequency Change for instructions on how to submit an off-cycle request for hours from the previous position. This is how you will need to enter missed biweekly hours when the system now reads the employee as monthly. First, you will want to submit a payroll request on the monthly position and input earnings date tied to the effective date of their monthly position. Input 1% as a placeholder for the salary percent field. And in the comments section, provide the following details: the biweekly pay group, the hours and earnings dates they need to be paid on for their biweekly position, the hourly rate, the gross amount due. And if there was a change in department, there is an option to override the charts field on the payroll request. This is how you will need to enter missed monthly earnings when the system now reads the employee as biweekly. Submit a payroll request on the biweekly position. Input earnings date tied to the effective dates of their biweekly position. Input 1 hour as a placeholder for the salary percentage. In the comment section, provide the following details: the monthly pay group, the hours and earning dates they need to be paid on for their biweekly position, the dates and hours needing to be paid for the monthly position, and the gross pay. If there was a change in department, there is an option to override the charts field on the payroll request. Now we will go over some scenarios. Scenario 1, biweekly to monthly. Employee is converting to a monthly position effective 3/1, and the current biweekly pay period end date is 3/5. You'll want to submit the biweekly hours for pay period ending in 3/5 through time and attendance. After the biweekly pay confirm, submit the monthly conversion transaction and have it approved by the monthly employee data change deadline. The employee should receive an on-cycle biweekly check on 3/16 and a monthly on-cycle paycheck on 4/1/22. Here's an example of how to read the payroll processing calendar to determine the deadlines you will need to enter your transaction. Since the employee is being promoted to the new monthly position effective 3/1, you will want to submit the transfer template or PayPath transaction after the biweekly 3/10 pay confirm, so that the biweekly hours will be paid out on 3/16. But you'll want to submit that transfer template or PayPath transaction before the monthly deadline of 3/18/22, so that their 4/1 paycheck for March earnings will be paid out on 4/1. Whoops. Scenario 2, biweekly to monthly, where both biweekly and monthly pay cycles are running at the same time. So the recommendation is to have the biweekly time for 2/6 to 2/19 to be paid on cycle, and then after pay confirm, submit the job data to monthly and submit an off-cycle request for that monthly prorated salary. So the steps to take: submit biweekly hours through time and attendance. And then after the biweekly pay confirm, submit the monthly conversion transaction and an off-cycle request for the missed monthly earnings. And the employee should receive an on-cycle biweekly paycheck on 3/2/22 and an off-cycle paycheck for 2/15 to 2/28. And now we'll take a look at the example. So here's an example of how to read that payroll processing calendar to determine the deadlines. Since the employee is being promoted to the new monthly position effective 2/15, you'll want to submit the transfer template or PayPath transaction after the 2/24 biweekly pay confirm, so that the biweekly hours will be paid out on 3/2. And then submit an off-cycle request for the missed monthly salary for 2/15 to 2/28. Since notice that these pay confirms are at the same time, so the biweekly hours need to be submitted first. Scenario 3, employee is converting to biweekly position effective 2/20 and has vacation takes for 2/14 to 2/18. Steps to take: submit monthly takes for 2/14 and through 2/18 and prorated salary amount via off-cycle pay request, and make sure it's not sent through time and attendance. After the off-cycle is issued, submit the biweekly conversion transaction with effective date of 2/20/22 before the employee data change deadline for the biweekly 3/16/22 paycheck. The employee should be able to enter biweekly hours into time and attendance to be paid on cycle. Here's an example of how to read the payroll processing calendar to determine the deadlines you'll need to enter for your transaction. So if an employee is moving to a biweekly position effective 2/20, you'll want to submit the monthly prorated salary and any takes on an off-cycle request. And then after the off-cycle is issued, submit the biweekly conversion transaction before the employee data change deadline, so that the biweekly hours will be paid on the 3/16/22 paycheck. Scenario 4, monthly to biweekly, where both monthly and biweekly pay cycles are running at the same time. Submit the monthly takes and prorated salary amount via off-cycle pay request, and make sure it's not sent on cycle through the time and attendance. After the off cycle is issued, submit the biweekly conversion transaction with effective date 2/6/22 before the employee data change deadline for the biweekly 3/2/22 paycheck. The employee should be able to enter biweekly hours into time and attendance to be paid on cycle. And here is another example of how to read the payroll processing calendar. Since the employee is moving to a biweekly position effective 2/6/22, you will want to submit the monthly prorated salary and any takes on an off-cycle request. And then after the off-cycle is issued, submit the biweekly conversion transaction before the 2/16/22 biweekly employee data change deadline so that the biweekly hours will be paid out on cycle on 3/22 or 3/2/22. Now let's take a moment to review the best practices. Pay group change effective date. Use an effective date that begins a pay period. If possible, choose a date after the current position pay group pay confirm date, but before the employee data change deadline of the new position's pay cycle. Timekeeping impacts. The pay frequency change will not be reflected in time and attendance until the pay period ends. If employee is going from a biweekly non-exempt to a monthly exempt and have comp time balance, payout needs to be initiated before switching pay frequencies. Benefits and accruals impacts. UCPC runs monthly reports and processes adjustments for discrepancies in benefits, premiums, and accruals due to pay frequency changes. Submit a ticket to UCPC if you notice adjustments haven't been made. Entering hours for previous position. Refer to KBA how to pay hours unpaid due to pay frequency change. And the payroll office receives error reports for payroll issues and benefits adjustments needed as a result of frequency changes and will notify the HR department contact if errors identified. But the primary responsibility for confirming accurate pay and benefits remains with the department and the HR transactors. Thank you for attending this topic-based Zoom on pay frequency changes.